Hi everyone, how are you all doing? It's good to have you all back. Thank you for joining me today again. Thank you for my new subscribers. Thank you for my returning subscribers. I hope you love it here and you're going to keep staying here with me. Stick with me. Do not leave because you're going to be getting value for sticking with me. So today I'm going to be telling you all how I applied for my permanent residencies and the documents I needed to provide, because I mean documentations are important in this country. So I'm going to be telling you a snippet, or telling you the documents I needed to submit for IRCC to approve my application. So let's get into it. I have my laptop here as my guide. So my laptop is going to help me because I have a few things on here which I want to share with you guys. So yeah, without much ado, let's get straight into this video. You all know the first thing I did was to graduate from a required program, which is the CCA program. So to qualify for permanent residency, you have to go through different stream of programs, or different application. So the application stream I went through, or I applied through, was the PNP, which is the Provincial Nomination Program in the province of Nova Scotia. And the requirement for that, based on the stream I went, was that I had to have graduated from a college that offered the program, or that offered the skill set that was required in this program. But first, before I applied for my PR, since I went through the provincial nomination pathway, or the provincial nomination program, I needed to be nominated by the province. Yes, I needed to be nominated first. So that nomination is what will now determine, or what will give me the leverage to then apply for my PR. So before I go over to the PR, I'm going to talk about the documents I needed for my PNP, which is my Provincial Nomination Program. So the documents I needed was, first, my certificates, which was the certificate I obtained from my program here in Canada after completion, certification of completion of the program, which is my CCA certificate. Sorry, I'm rambling. But yeah, my CCA certificate. Then the second thing I needed, or the second documentation I needed, and having a job. So my own application was tied to a job. And for that job, you need to show that you were qualified for that job. And how do you show your qualification? Is by you sending, or it's by you providing a document or a certificate showing that you graduated from a college or from a school that taught you the program and gave you the skill set which you needed to work in that capacity, or to fill that void or that role that was required. So for me, I provided my certification from my school. I provided a job offer letter. So you must get a job offer letter, because like I said, my own application was tied to having a job offer. So I submitted my job offer. Then the next night, I had you, of course, which is very, very important, is your passport, your international passport, and then your educational documents. So this educational document, if you know those documents you submitted from the get-go when you were applying to come into Canada, you have to submit them again. Documents I provided was my educational documents from my home country, transcripts from my home country, high school transcripts if that is your highest level of education, your postgraduate school, your university, your polytechnic transcripts. You have to have all that ready, because I mean, you needed all that before you applied to come into Canada anyways. So you also need those documents again. So you provide all of those documents from your home country, which is your educational documents. Then another thing I needed was my language proficiency thing. In fact, this is something I'm going to tell those who are trying to come into Canada and looking to apply for permanent residency. If you're coming as an international student, or if you are coming through other means and you want to have a permanent residence in this country, get you a English language proficiency test done. Like done. Yes, it is valid for only 2 years, but depending on your circumstances, you can get that documentation here back from your home country, or you can get it here. and that is the IELTS or CELPIP. So you need to write an English exam and you must pass that exam. I think the lowest benchmark in Canada is band 5 or band 6. Yeah, let me just put you on the safe side. Just ensure to have the band 6. That way you don't have to keep writing over and over, because I've seen people who had to write this English proficiency test over and over. And if you're here in Canada, you know this test is expensive. As of last year, I don't know if the amount or the price has increased, but as of last year, I spent over $300 for these language tests. I did CELPIP. I had IELTS, but the IELTS I wrote was just for the one for UK educational purposes alone, which was still valid as of last year when I applied for my PR. But because it wasn't a general exam, so it was not suitable for my PR application. So I had to write a CELPIP exam. So you have to write an English exam and you have to pass. Have to pass. Oh yes, I passed. I'm a good English student. I'm not bragging. Anyways, you have to pass. At least have a band 6 pass for you to scale through, so you don't have to write this exam again. Because imagine spending over $300 at each sitting. You don't have that. You don't want to keep spending all that money unnecessarily. And as a tip, as an advice for most of you who are looking to write that exam, you necessarily do not have to take English classes. You might just have to go on YouTube and search for CELPIP or IELTS preparation exams to help you scale through. All you need is your determination, you being ready and serious to study, and allocate time for yourself to practice. Learn and practice. Practice is another thing you want to do, because by the time you face the exam, you're going to be timed and you don't want to be doing guess. You know what I mean? So yes, back to what we are talking about. You need to have your English language proficiency. Another thing is your work experience. So reference letter from your employer from your home country. You need to show your employment letter, your reference letter from your previous employer from your home country, and that is if, of course, yeah, from your home country or wherever you're from, even if it's in Canada here. Another thing you want to provide is your birth certificates. Yes, your birth certificate is very, very important, because it's through this they're going to verify your age. So you need to provide your birth certificate. So if you're married, you want to show your marriage certificate as well. Marriage certificate is another documentation you need to provide. And the biggest of it all is proof of funds. So for those in Canada, you need to show your proof of funds. And how can you show your proof of funds if you are in Canada? You can use your pay stub, which is your proof of payment from your employer. That's what we call it, pay stub. You can also show your in your offer letter, your work offer letter, they will tell how much you're going to be earning or something. Yeah, that can also pass for your proof of fund, because it shows that you are eligible, or you have a job that is going to provide for you to take care of yourself in Canada. And another thing you want to show is also your bank statements. If you're in Canada, you have to show money in your account. And another important thing is you want to show your work offer letter. So you must have an offer letter if I've not talked about that. Another thing I showed was my job offer letter, a valid job offer letter in that position, which, in that skill set which you are applying for. And another thing is your resume, your CV. So your CV needs to be updated. Your information, your work history needs to be there. Another thing you want to submit is your criminal record check. So your police clearance. Yeah, you need to submit your police criminal record check, and it has to be valid for at least 6 months. Is it 6 months or a year? No, I think it's 6 to 3 months. I think Nigeria one has just a 3 months validity or 6 months validity. I can't remember. But yeah, you need to have a police clearance or criminal record check in a country. If you have lived in different countries, say you have lived in US, you have lived in Mexico, you have lived in Australia, and you spent at least 6 months in each of those countries, you need to provide criminal record check from those countries. Oh yes, you have to. For all the countries you've lived in for more than 6 months, you would have to provide your criminal record checks from them. That is very, very important. And if it's you who have just lived in one country all your life, say your original home country of citizenship, then you have to provide your police clearance or your criminal record check from that country. It has to be recent. So another thing is you want to provide documents of your legal status in the country. So for example, for me, I was originally a student before, so you need to provide your student permit, your study permits. If you're on work permit, you provide your work permit, any legal documentation you have prior to applying for your PNP or your PR, you need to provide those documentation. It is very, very important. And this is the reason why someone on visitor's record or someone whose visitor's record has expired will find it very challenging to apply for PR, because you need to have a legal status, a legal stay here already prior to applying for your PR. Another document you want to submit. I don't know if you might have to submit a document for this one, or because I remember when I did it, I had to type in, there is a space bar where you have to type it in. So either you type it in the space bar or you submit a document, you have to show, send a copy of interests or if a valid letter of interest telling them that you want to live in this province where you're applying. So you want to tell them the reason why you want to live in that province, or the reason why you want them to approve your application of application for that province. Tell them what, if you've been in that province before, if you live there, what you know about the province, what you appreciate about the province. If you have loved ones there, you want to share all those information, because all those information will help as well. And please do not just write one sentence, because one sentence is not enough to show your interest in living in a province you want them to approve you of. So yeah, have that in mind. I think those are the documents literally that you need to show, except case by case basis you might be required to submit other documents to satisfy their interests. So they might reach out to you, IRCC might reach out to you, or the PNP people might reach out to you. Yes, another document I forgot to mention, which is important and based on the type of employment you have, is the NSNP document or the NSNP form. So depending on what kind of job you are into, we determine what NSNP number form you would be required to fill. So for me, I was required to submit the NSNP 200 form. And this form, you can only get it from your employer. Yes, the employer hiring you, or the recent employer you have, that job offer you have that you are using to apply for your PNP. They are the ones to give you that NSNP 200 form. So you have to fill it, put in all your information, and the information of the company hiring you, and a whole lot of other documents too. Also, your employer is also going to be sending you some other documents which you would need to be submitting. I can't remember the document, but there is also this A form document I remember my employer sent to me in addition to that NSNP 200. Then you send your employment offer letter, and that employment offer letter has to explain everything your job requirement is all about, how much you're going to be paid annually, and also it's going to talk about if that job offer was advertised. I think that's the LMIA, whatever. Provide all of those documentations from your employer. And like I said, there are a whole lot of documents, and depending on your case, they might reach out to you to submit more additional documents. So be prepared to have more documents at hand to provide. And if you don't have those documents, or you feel, oh, these documents, you don't really need them because you've submitted something similar, then you need to provide a letter of explanation detailing to them or telling them in writing how to, these documents came about and how they tie, and just explain yourself, because they're not going to call you for interview. It's just all about the documentations you submit. So it is better you always have a letter of explanation on hand, explaining everything precisely without omitting anything or without making a mistake, because these people, they also know what they are doing, and they can smell when there is a foul play in place. Or just be careful. So those are the documents I needed for my PNP. So when the PNP was approved, I think my PNP took a week. Yeah, was it up to a week? Let me say some days to 1 week for my PNP to be approved. But now I heard the PNP is taking months to get approved. The PNP, the nomination stuff is taking a little time now than usual. So yeah, things are changing. They are tightening the rules and everything is becoming more tighter than before. But yeah, so that is what the documents I needed. So after I submitted those documents, 7 days later, my PNP was approved. And when it was approved, I was sent a certificate of nomination by the province. I was nominated by the province, so the certification of nomination, and I was also sent a support letter to apply for work permits. So this is because my school, we do not require PGWP, we do not do postgraduate work permits. That is because the program is not up to 1 year, so we were not eligible for PGWP. So after this PNP approval, that letter of work support is what you're going to use to apply for work permits, which is what I did. So, and that is pending when your permanent residency application will be approved. They give you that document to apply for your work permit so you can work in the province. That is if you are already in the province. After I got those documents, I applied for my work permit. That was the first thing I did. And after that, I applied for my permanent residence, because that certification of nomination they give you is valid for 6 months. So within that 6 months, you need to use it in applying for your permanent residence. So by the time I apply for my permanent residence, these are the same documents I submitted for my PNP, were some of the documents I submitted for my permanent residency. But it's just that for the PR, there is this form called for section A. You have to fill your information, your personal information, your family information. If you have dependents, you put in your dependent information, even your siblings information, because who knows, you might want to invite your siblings over. So the name they have, which you submitted, should tally with whatever information you might be putting in later for your siblings. So I think that was it about the documentations I submitted for my permanent residency. But yes, so in another video, I'm going to be showing you all how, the step-by-step process which I used in applying for my permanent residency, for those of you who are in that stage and who do not know how to go about it. And I kid you not, you really do not need an agent or to do this. You can just figure things out yourself. Or if your situation is difficult or you have complications in your application process or in your immigration process from the get-go, then yes, you can or you should hire an immigration consultant or an immigration lawyer or an immigration agent. But with me, I did all of my documentations myself. I submitted everything myself. So yeah, I'm going to be making a video, showing you guys the step-by-step process at which I submitted my permanent residency application. So that is that for this video. Hope I was able to share something important and good with you guys. That is it. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching and see you all in my next video. Bye. Talking loud and you know plenty. You know what I'm talking about, 'cause you just